So welcome everyone to our Wednesday call where today we're going to talk about the symbols and mantras. So if you aren't familiar with them, if you're new to Reiki, traditionally in both human Reiki and animal Reiki, we use symbols that the founder, Sensei Asui Mikao, had used supposedly, right? So we don't know for sure on a lot of this, which is why I am so loving Nicholas's class. Okay, so Adriana is nodding her head. You must have been in there too. Oh my gosh, you guys. Now, I don't want to be an infomercial and try and, pressure you to join this class, but a few of you, I know Claudia too, are in the class. And so Nicholas did, and I'll put it in the chat here. Let me see. Oh, thank you. Who'd use the chat here? Kathy, thank you so much for using the chat. So I'm gonna paste Nicholas's masterclass. So it's a 2-day class. So yes, you may have missed the first class, but yeah, Claudia, thank you. It is an amazing class. Totally recommend. Even if you don't know Reiki well, to take this class and learn a lot about the history, about where Reiki has come from, and the founder, where he found these tools. And these tools are used in human Reiki for a certain method. And in animal Reiki, the tools are used. Oh, thank you so much, Elaine. I'm so glad you were able to get in. She signed up today. The tools in animal Reiki are used for us to go deeper into our own natural. Well, let me see. I'm not saying that right. They're tools for us to access that deeper, calmer, more peaceful and loving piece of ourselves that gets covered up by stress and everything else. But in human Reiki, they have their own way of being used that is much different than in the let animals lead method of animal Reiki. And I wanted to talk about that today, but I do want to give a little plug about this class. First of all, we've had an amazing response to this class. I think Nicholas has 64 people signed up, which for a class is huge. That means that SARA has made almost $4,000 because Nicholas is giving us 50%, which is amazing. Like, I think this is our biggest single fundraiser ever. We've never made this much money. So to all of you who've signed up, thank you so much, because 50% of your class fee goes to SARA, to the Shelter Animal Reiki Association. But the class is well worth the $125, even without knowing that you're going to be donating anything. Nicholas, and I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to give you a little treat if you haven't signed up yet, because I want to encourage you. Nicholas is talking all about the symbols, where they come from, the history that we know to be true, the history that we can verify, but may not know for certain that it's truth. So for instance, Asui may have only used one of the symbols, and he has documentation about that. But then there's also documentation that is perhaps he could have used all three, but we know for a fact all four came with Hayashi. So I want to just share my screen for just a quick second and just tell you everything you're going to get. So of course you get the recording and the audio for both this last Sunday and the upcoming Sunday, which is May 4th. And it's a 2-hour class. So 4 hours of material. And then Nicholas gives so much in supplements. But what we did, the Shelter Animal Reiki Association, which is why I love AI, we did a really quick, so let me see, I'm going to share my screen here. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you. There we go. So let me go to this really fast. So what we had AI do is take the recording of the class and do a summary with timestamps. So that way, if you just want to go back, especially for those of you who already watched it, right? You might go, oh God, what did he say about, Choku Rei, symbol 1? And so right here, we've got some timestamps for you, a little bit of a summary so that you know exactly what he's talking about there, which I think is a really great thing, and which is why I love AI. And I think I'm going to do another Wednesday call on AI, because AI has created some things that I can give to all of you to help you use AI in a really simplistic way, which is another great thing, right? Because I was talking to AI last night and I said, I think I need to do another call about this because I love the summary. He goes, oh, let me make you a one-page handout. And let me make you, I always call it a he, and then let me make you a little PDF you can give to your community. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I feel like I'm talking to a person, but that's okay. So anyway, going back to the summary, here you have all these different ways to access it. So this is one thing you're going to get. And then we did a practice. We did a 3-jewel practice, which you always also learn in the Let Animals Lead way. But what I love about Nicholas is he's so detailed in his instruction. And he gives you a little bit of the history. And then he gives you the slides. So you not only get all of this backup, you also get all of the slides. So here is just, and look at his slides. They're all rich with information. So if you like don't want to listen to the recording or you don't want to go back, you can go to a slide and go, oh, okay, right. Oh, the meaning of the mantra. Okay, perfect. Or here is more about Seihei Ki. It's just a really, and I'm going to stop sharing here. This class is just rich in information, and I'm going to paste it one more time, just for those of you who just joined in. If you do want to sign up, it's $125. 50% goes to the Shelter Animal Reiki Association. Wow. But it's really, really a class worth the $125. Like, I don't think I've ever spent $125 on a class and been so happy with not only the teaching and what he's sharing, but all of the documentation that Nicholas is giving us. So I really hope if you are interested in it, do sign up. But one thing that when he was talking to me about the class, and I've taken this class before, I took it in October, but it wasn't this polished because he had just created it. And so when he it was kind of a more of a beta. And so when he released it, it wasn't exactly as polished. And since that time, more information has recently come out about Usui and his teachings, and they found more documentation. And Justin Stein, who is a Reiki scholar and a Reiki author, he actually found new information. So Nicholas is sharing some of that new information with us in this class. But when I took the last class, I was blown away by all the information and the uses of the symbols for human Reiki. And since I never took human Reiki, I only heard it from other people. So I only had a very kind of biased view of human Reiki and the symbols. So I know, and Claudia, if you want to unmute, because we can talk a little bit about this. So I know that in human Reiki, the power symbol is Choku, right? Which is the first symbol that's like, goes like this and circular in, right? And so I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Claudia, that this powers up what you're doing, right? It powers up. So feel free to add to that.
Yeah, I usually, I think Nicholas explained it in his teaching as well. The symbols were meant as like a crutch, right? To get anchored in that Reiki energy. And at one point, you probably don't need them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for human Reiki as well. So, but I still use them. The power symbol, the first symbol, I use that before I treat someone, just to sort of protect myself, if you know what I mean.
Like when you were taught the power symbol, what was the purpose of the symbol?
So protection from, well, bad voodoo. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So and also to get grounded. It's very important to ground yourself before you start treating other people. But also for physical ailments, so like pain, or literally to help speed up the healing process on a physical level. So let's say someone has broken an ankle. Of course, you need to go to the doctor when you break your ankle. But with Chokurai, you can direct that energy of Chokurai and help the body heal the broken bone.
Yeah.
So the first symbol, the way I was taught it was powerful, so it strengthens your connection with Reiki. It may strengthen the power of Reiki, if you will, but also protect yourself from bad energy or whatever you want to call it. And it grounds you. So, and that's how I still use it. So before a client comes in, I'll just chokurai the whole room, and in that way create a powerful but safe space to give Reiki.
And I think that for humans, when we're talking human Reiki, for us humans, it helps us to feel stronger because in human to human Reiki, your purpose is to heal. Your purpose is to help someone heal. And the reason
Exactly.
human Reiki works, right, Claudia, is the placebo effect, right? Your mindset. If I come to Claudia, I know when I go into her studio, it's going to feel really good because her intent when she's putting these symbols in the corners and everything is to create this beautiful space. Her intent is to help me heal. There's a lot of things going on. And then when you're treating me, you're going to be directing a power symbol somewhere where you
Yes.
think I need healing. And then the second symbol, how is that used?
For me personally, I use
Like in
it
human
when,
Reiki. Yeah.
yeah. So if I treat a human, but I do that with animals as well. I use it on myself first in a situation. For example, I mean, I'm only human, right? So I can be in a very bad mood before I have to treat a person or an animal. A Saiheki helps me to calm down, be more at peace, and so have a quieter, gentler energy before I go into the treatment. Uh, for the human, on the human, him or herself, I use it when they are stressed. When they tell me, I always do an intake. When they tell me they are stressed, they are grieving. So emotional healing. Jokurai is purely physical, whereas Saiheki is more used for emotional healing, emotional well-being.
And then,
And Nicholas also said, depression, anxiety, but still go see a mental health professional for that as well. But together with that, Seiheki is really beneficial to help deal with that.
and then the third symbol, and we'll only talk about these first three. We won't talk about symbol 4 today.
The third symbol I only use for distant Reiki. So never when I have an in-person treatment, in person in my studio. And that's basically to connect with the energy of that person. And after that, the Reiki can flow between us freely.
I love that.
Yeah.
So as you're talking, and what I'm getting to is, and I hope everyone else is too. So when we're working with humans, it's very outward, right? We're deciding for them. They come in stress. Oh, you need Seiheki, right? Or oh, you need grounding. You need Choku Rei. These are things that you need. And for humans, again, that's really important because I need to trust that you, Claudia, right, know what you're doing. You feel the energy. I trust that you know what I need, right? But when we're talking about animals, they're connecting through energy, right? And so if our energy, we come in and we're like, oh my gosh, you're stressed, you're broken. I need to heal you. I need to fix you. Now we're above the animal's below us. Now we're the healer and we're trying to fix them. Now, human to human, that works because we expect that. But human to animal, we can't do that because the moment we do that, everything shifts. Now the animal is like, wait, I'm broken. Because what's really interesting, I was thinking about this. We are raised from the time we are very small that if we are sick, we get sympathy. Or even if you weren't raised with a lot of sympathy and care, you see it in movies. Someone gets hurt, they get a lot of sympathy, they got a lot of care. It's caring to care for someone and try to heal them, right? Oh, you give, your mom will make you soup, or the doctors, the nurses, everybody's trying to heal you. And so we grow up with this, and it's our whole purpose. When we come into animal Reiki, we want to heal. We want to make the animals feel better, right? We want to heal what's going on. And what we don't realize, and what you learn in the Let Animals Lead method, is that by doing that, we're actually putting up a barrier between us and the animals. We're telling them that you're broken, you need to be fixed, something's wrong with you. And we have all these different stories that, you know, you've heard throughout all these different weeks of being here about when animals are shut down. That's really not how you want to approach them, right, Claudia? And I know you've had experiences with that because you have foster cats, right?
Yeah.
And we can't come at them with the, hey, I'm going to fix you energy, right?
No, 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 no. One of our fosters, he was a really great guy, a cat, and all was well when he just came to us, and then I started, wanting to help him because he lost his person. That's why he ended up in the shelter and at our place. And I wanted to help him because he was so sad. He must have been depressed. And I had just started studying the Let Animals Lead method with you. But I mean, it takes a while to make that switch, right? Between human Reiki and animal, Let Animals Lead method for animals. So yeah, even though you told us you don't want to direct, you're not going to force something. I'm sorry, but I still tried. And I noticed that he started pulling back more and more. So he was open and fun at first and would lay next to me on the couch. And but the more I Reiki'd him, the more he was like, nah, no, I. So then came the time that he needed to go back to the shelter to be put up for adoption. And every time I went there, I would visit him to see how he was doing. And he was there in his little crate. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you're still here. And I tried to pet him, and he did whack. He never did that. He just whacked me with his paw, and I was like, okay, you probably don't get adopted when you behave like that. But sure. Well, anyways. So then I had a pregnant kitty, fostered a pregnant kitty, and we did one of the meditations for the 21-day meditation with Kathleen, and it was the Do Not Worry meditation. So I did that together with the pregnant cat, and all of a sudden I sort of, I wouldn't say heard a voice, but had this strong feeling that Spencer, the cat that was still in the shelter, said, okay, stop worrying already. I am fine. So then it hit me like, okay, it wasn't him, it was me. And I said, thank you, stopped worrying. Literally the next day he got adopted. So for me, that was just, yeah, it was an amazing lesson in please let go of ego, let go of wanting to fix everything. Just assume that the cat knows. The cat knows what's best for him and what he wants and what he doesn't want, right?
Well, exactly. And I think that here's where the transition from human Reiki, using the symbols, to animal Reiki and using the symbols the way we're taught and the practice the way it's taught, that it's very hard to shift our humanness into just being, right? And so, like, exactly like what you experienced, you're covering it with worry. So you're putting further and further and further and further and further distance. And yeah, Elaine, he may have known his person was coming, but what the lesson here is too, don't forget, our energy is strong. We don't feel it like animals do. But when we're constantly, like you're constantly thinking of Spencer, worrying, 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 that energy affects the animals. It makes them start to get smaller, smaller, smaller. But once we let that go and we see them as the beautiful being that they are, then their light shines. And I've seen that over and over and over doing Reiki in the shelter. I know Kelly has too. Once you let go and you just see that animal for the beautiful, loving being they are, they get adopted because it's like their light is allowed to shine. But when we're constantly with our own energy, and if you're like putting a symbol and, oh, you need Seiheki and you need this and that, that energy is going on that animal, and that animal is shrinking, right? That animal isn't expanding. But when we allow their true light to shine by just being with them and using the symbols in a way that you're taught in the Let Animals Lead method, and I'll talk about that in a minute, to really allow your light to shine, then that animal can then open up and be like, oh, okay. And then people see that light. Nothing really changes on the outward. It's just all of a sudden people see that animal for who they really are, which is this beautiful cat or being or whatever that is. And we don't know, like Elaine said, you think he knew when his person was coming. It could be. It could also be just, that energy was so heavy. He was getting very upset about that. It's like, let go, stop worrying. Because one thing I did learn with the tigers in Florida, when you think of an animal, they feel it. That you are connecting with that animal instantaneously. So if you're always worrying, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, I'm worried, then that's not helping that animal at all. And this is really funny because I see this, I teach the Animal Reiki for Reiki practitioners class. So all of my students are Reiki practitioners. And in that situation, it's so funny because they're worry. Well, you have Seiheki for humans. So you can use Seiheki, before you get into my class and you learn more about the symbols and mantras. You can use Seiheki to help your own worrying, but it's really funny how so many people don't use that tool. So really going back to Nicholas's class, I highly recommend you sign up for that class if you're interested in learning more. I mean, no pressure to do so, but if you're interested in learning more and really supplementing your own practice, or if you're a teacher, just knowing more. Like I supplement my classes with excerpts from Nicholas's book. And now that I have even more information from Nicholas, I'm going to be supplementing them even further. But it's something that if you want to know why you do the things you do, and also it helps you to realize the importance of how we do it in the Let Animals Lead method, then I really encourage you to take his class. So I know we have a couple comments here and I want to read these really quickly. So Eileen said, giving yourself self Reiki grounds and protects you. Choku Rei deepens your practice and focus. Yeah, because Choku Rei is all about focus and going inward. So in the Let Animals Lead method of Animal Reiki, and this is just a really quick overview, Choku Rei is for us to use to go inward, to ground ourselves, right? So when you look at Choku Rei, it goes across, it comes down, it goes around 3 times, and it goes inward. So you look at yourself as bringing that energy down into your body, grounding yourself. And when we're grounded, guess what happens? When we're grounded, we can handle difficult situations. We can handle painful situations. We can handle sad situations because we're grounded, we're rooted. We're not like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what Choku Rei does for us. So when I would go into the shelter, I would draw Choku Rei on my leg. And Nicholas shares something very important about Choku Rei, about the power of drawing it versus the power of saying it. Which I really encourage you, if you missed that in the class recording, go back and listen because it's really important. Like, so I didn't even know that when I was drawing it on my leg, but now I know why it was really powerful for me. So if I was feeling off balance or sad, even now, if I start to feel stressed, I just draw Choku Rei on my leg. And just it brings more stability to me in my body. And then so when we're grounded, now we're grounded. But if we're grounded and our mind is narrow, right? So we can only see a certain way, right? We see like there's an animal to be adopted, or an animal like Spencer. It's been there a while. We want him to get adopted. It may not make us feel emotional or sad or worried, but we might still feel like, okay, this animal needs to be adopted. I know the right person for this animal. We start putting our own stuff in it. But if we can stop for a moment and use Seiheki, and this is in the Let Animals Lead method, this is what we teach you, to expand your mind. Now, so let's say this pencil is, we can't really see it because I have that background, but let's just pretend I'll go this big. So let's pretend like this is your mind and it's covered like this, right? This pencil. And this is what am I trying to say? Not the worry, but just your concern, right? You're like, okay, this cat needs to be adopted. And there's nothing else. There's no room for anything else to come through. So with Seiheki and the practice of Seiheki, what we teach is Seiheki gives you space. It gives you expansiveness. So the issue is still there, but now there's more space around the issue where solutions can come through, where you can see further than just this issue. And the more you meditate, the more you use Seiheki, the more expansive you get, the wider and wider and wider. So pretty soon, this problem is way out here. It's still there, but it's way out here. And now you have all this expansiveness. So it's really no longer a problem. And this isn't something that is unique. I'm a meditation teacher and I've studied with Joe Dispenza, and they all have the same type of practice, but they call it different things. Like Joe Dispenza calls it, going into the black, where you just go into the emptiness, right? You don't try and work, because when you go into the emptiness, and that's what we teach with Seiheki, when you create this expansive energy without expectation, without attachment, anything is possible and anything can come through. So as soon as Claudia let go, right? Boom, energy, right? Boom, expansiveness. No longer was Spencer covered in her worry and her energy that was like keeping him down. It was, now it's open. Now anything can happen. Boom, he gets adopted the next day. Now it could be like Elaine said, maybe his person was there, but what if it was just because she let go? And I've seen that. When you let go, anything is possible. We heard it from Lauren when Lauren came to talk about the shutdown blind horses, right? Who didn't like people. And she's out there and she's completely open. No expectation, no attachment. Her mind is open. Now the horses are completely attracted to her. They don't get that energy from people very often. People are always trying to fix, always trying to heal, always trying to do something to them, right? Here Lauren is, she's just like, I am just grateful to be here. And now in that space, the animals open up. They come forward. That is the big difference between human Reiki and animal Reiki. Animals need us not to be in that space of worry, to be grounded, to be solid, to be sound, to be expansive. Humans, like if I go to, Claudia, or I go to Darlene, or any of you who do this, I am going to expect you to know what you're doing. And I know that you're going to be using the tools in a way that helps you feel the energy. So you could be putting symbols on me. You could be doing all kinds of things. You could be putting crystals on me. I'm all for it, right? I'm open to whatever energy you can conjure up and bring into my body. But animals are so sensitive. The minute we do that, it is like, boom, like you've punched them. And it may not seem that you're like, no, I'm just putting a symbol on him. But trust me, they will go. If it's an animal you don't know, an animal that's shut down, an animal that may not trust humans, you put a symbol on them and they're going to be like, you just hit them. I've seen that before. I've been with Reiki practitioners and I'm just like, you can't do that with animals. They will not respond in the same way. Now, that's not to say your own animals or a very submissive animal will take it, but do you really want submission or do you want acceptance? Do you want a connection, right? Because animals will be submissive. That's not connection. That is someone just going, okay, I'm going to succumb to what you're doing because I don't really want to fight, right? So I want to stop for a minute. But Eileen, but going back to that, yes, giving yourself self Reiki is really powerful. But protecting you, one thing we teach in the Let Animals Lead method is when you're open, right? So if you're in that space of Seiheki, when you're grounded and you're open, you don't really need to protect yourself because anything will go through you. It's like you're not going to attach to anything. No one can put something on you unless you accept it. Unless you say, oh, I accept that. If someone's energy is bad, I don't go, oh my gosh, that person's energy is bad. It's going to get on me. So I need to move, or I need to do something, or I need to put some protection. All I do is just send them love and say, I don't accept that. That's them. It's not me. We have to accept that. And so Dee says, Yes, Leah, it is a bad human habit to put ourselves in the center of everything like a conductor instead of just becoming a part of the flow of the energies. Yes, Dee, exactly. Like we're not conducting anything. I love that term. Thank you. We are just being, right? We're the sun. We're just shining our light. We're just emanating that beautiful, loving energy that is deep within us that we use these tools to access and amplify. And now, and we do that one breath, right? We do the Joshin Kokyoho, or the breath of light, where we're breathing into our belly, right? Into our center, into our hara, which is what we call it. And we're igniting that light within us with our breath. And on our out breath, we're expanding that light. And when we expand that light, we expand our beautiful, loving energy. And like the sun, it goes outwards. That is what animals are connecting. What the symbols and mantras do is we take that Joshin Kokyo breath and we go deeper, right? Now we can use Choku to go deeper and Seiheki to go wider. So now that energy is really wide and expansive. And then we use Honshaze Shonen. So Honshaze Shonen is traditionally the long distance symbol. But what you learn in the Let Animals Lead method is that everything is distant, right? So if I'm sitting in a room with Monica and we're sitting, 5 inches from each other, there's still distance. We're not like this, right? So what we need to do is remember, right? Go back to that core remembering we are all connected. And it's very hard for us to remember that we're connected. So, not to get political, but I'm just going to say, okay, so for me, Trump upsets me just for the humanitarian aspects, right? So it's very hard for me to remember that at his core, Trump is the same as me. He was born a beautiful light. He was born the same as me. We are connected in that deeper space, which is why when you're thinking about the world at large, and if things get you upset, no matter which way you lean, when you get upset, remember, love is what heals everything. And in the Let Animals Lead method, that's what you learn. You learn to use these tools to then magnify your love at your heart, right? So Honshaze Shonen, there's 3 energy centers in your body, and you'll learn more about this if you take a class with us, and even from Nicholas's class. So you're right below your belly button, 2 finger widths, that's your hara, that's your tandon, that is your connection to earth. Your middle tandon is your heart center. That is how you connect, right? That's the connection with everyone, and that is coming from the space of love. Up here at Seiheki is your upper tandon. And so this is your connection to expansionness, to the heavens, right? To the universal energy, to your spirituality, right? This is all expansive. When these are in balance, what happens is now you can speak and hear from your heart. So in Japanese, there is no separation between your mind and your heart. It's called Kokoro. And animals are always in Kokoro, right? They lead with a very balanced heart and mind, right? They know when they're in danger because they're very in tune to the energy of it, but they're in tune to themselves. You'll see animals show compassion for a different species, right? And you think, wow, how are they doing that? Because they have a perfect balance. It's Kokoro within them. But we are like, don't be too analytical. Don't be too emotive, right? Don't think too much with your heart. But what if we're in complete balance? Now we can make sound decisions that are loving and compassionate because we've brought our bodies into perfect balance. But we can only do that by being grounded and by being expansive. We don't want to, attach 2 issues into problems. We want to be able to see with a wider eye, with a larger mind, right? And then when these 2 energies are in balance, they come together at our heart, creating a perfect balance within ourselves. And that's when you feel true peace, true love. That's what the symbols and mantras in the Let Animals Lead method bring to you. It's much different than the human Reiki, but that's not to say what people are doing in human Reiki is wrong. That is not what I'm saying. What people are doing in human Reiki is completely wonderful for humans. Do not bring that into animal Reiki. And I'm telling you, I'm so blessed that okay, well, what, and then Elaine said, Oh, well, what about both? He could feel his person out there, but he needed to be free for it. Yeah, that's true. Love that. And then Claudia said, love it. And then Adriana says, I use animal Reiki for everyone because we are all animals. Right. And when you learn the let animals lead method, and I know so many people in my, I've taught hundreds of people in the animal Reiki for Reiki practitioners class. At the end of the class, they say, wow, this is really going to amplify my human Reiki. So thank you for that, Adriana. It really amplifies your human Reiki practice because you learn to let go and the energy becomes a lot deeper. But and human Reiki is wonderful on its own. The let animals lead method. Now, I know William Rand uses a lot of human Reiki in his class. And that's totally fine. They're on their own journey there, and that's fine. And I can't say whether they get great results or not because I've never taken his class and I don't really know more than they are using human Reiki. They are starting to talk about it a little differently. They say we give animals choice instead of saying let animals lead, which I think is a very beautiful and wonderful thing because it's evolving and I love hearing that. But for us in the let animals lead, and this is hard, and this is why I'm glad I didn't learn Western Reiki. It's very hard to let go of what you know and come into something and let go of those things that work. They work. You're like, oh my God, these work in human. Yes, they do. But they're not always going to work with animals. And wouldn't you rather honor the animal's agency than forcing something on them, right? We don't ever want to force our energy, force our presence on an animal. We always want to just be holding space, right? To just be the light. We don't have to fix anything because our light of love, that is what heals. It's not us going, oh, hey, I'm going to heal that leg. No, that doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, we're all on our own journey. We're all on our own healing path. I mean, I had COVID very bad. I was so sick. I mean, for months and months and months, and it was very bad. I had the original COVID. And it was really funny because during the height of COVID, when there's so many people dying, I thought, where are all the Reiki practitioners that heal, right? Because it's not about healing and fixing. It's about supporting someone on their journey. Now, with people, our mindset can help our bodies heal. If I go to Darlene and I know Darlene is an amazing Reiki practitioner, I've got an issue, hey, I know I'm going to walk out of there feeling healed because I am also a partner in that healing. My mindset has to be, hey, Darlene is going to help this. But if I go in there and go, oh, I don't know anything about Reiki, I'm going to walk out going, yeah, I didn't feel anything. I don't think this works at all, right? And that's what happens sometimes. But I remember one time, Kathleen, this was very early in the days when Kathleen and I had just taken her level 1, and she asked me if I would help her at an expo. And so we went to the expo and we were doing chair treatments. And this one girl had a little chihuahua, and the chihuahua was all nervous and shaky. And we were doing chair treatments. And if you had an animal, you could sit with the animal, right? And so she sat down and Kathleen was doing a session with her and I was next to her. And it was so funny because this dog went from shaking and like this to just slowly like melting. And so the dog's head is like literally hanging over this girl's arm. And the girl gets up and goes, I didn't feel anything. I don't think that worked. And she doesn't even notice her dog is literally just like, what? Blissed out. Didn't matter if it worked for her, right? And it was a perfect example of someone's mindset. She didn't think that was going to work. But animals don't need the placebo effect. It's either going to work or it's not. And if we go into the session with a pure heart and we let go of all our I need tos and just be and focus on that deep connection of love in our bodies, right? That beautiful, loving, peaceful, joyful feeling that we have. And that's what the symbols and mantras do and the let animals lead method. They guide us on how to access that spot within us. And, after doing this 17 years, the one practice I always come back to are my practices, or not one, but my one method is the let animals lead. Because even being a certified meditation teacher and even studying with Joe Dispenza, you know that a lot of what they're saying is the same as in the let animals lead, only with the let animals lead, we have the advantage of practicing with animals, and animals will always help you feel that deeper sense of love, peace, happiness, of balance, of compassion. Animals help us let go of everything, right? And I know that if you are around animals, I know Darlene's around animals all the time, you can really feel that energy in a group. And I was thinking when I went to Joe Dispenza's retreat that week long, there were like 2,000 people. And yeah, the energy was strong, but I thought, wow, how much stronger would it be if I was sitting here with like 100 people and then 1,900 animals, right? Who were all, I mean, I think I probably wouldn't come out alive. It would just be so deep. It's amazing what animals bring to us. And so the let animals lead method is really wonderful because we're learning how to access that space within us with the support and the help of the animals. Because even if I go to sit with an animal that is not doing well, there's so much I can learn from that animal. I remember when we adopted a little disabled, I called her a pocket pit bull. She was like 28 pounds. She was a pit bull mix. She was found in a homeless camp. She had already had puppies. She was probably only a year old. And she had a neurological disease where she shook all the time. And she wasn't very strong. Like if she tried to bite, it was just like a nibble, and poor little thing. But when we adopted her, of course, the first instinct is, oh, you got to feel sorry for Reba, or, oh, poor Reba, poor Reba. But what I learned very quickly was Reba did not see herself as disabled. So we had a Catahoula lab mix at the time, and he was like 55 pounds. And Leo had he had a pointed nose, and his jaws were like steel. They were like an alligator. And we thought, oh man, if she upsets Leo, he is going to literally like rip her apart. Leo was scared to death of her. And then when we got a blue nose pit, when it was a foster, and then it was a fail, the Shrek, he's like 60 pounds. And those dogs, if she was resource guarding her food or whatever, shoes, whatever she decided was worth resource guarding, they would literally shrink against the wall and turn their heads away and not look at her so that they could just hurry and scurry by her, because they were deathly afraid of this tiny dog that could literally do no harm to them, but her energy was big. And so I kept telling my partner at the time, Michael, that we can't feel sorry for her. She doesn't see herself like that. So we can't see her like that. We have to see her as the strong, able-bodied dog that she is. So we allowed her to play with like the neighbor's puppy when he, and even as he was growing up, and we let him drag her across the yard because she loved it. She loved winning tug of war. He would drag her all over the yard and he would give up and she would do it. And her whole body would shake in happiness. Her whole body would wag with her tail because she was so pleased with herself. So we can't put our own fears and our own small-minded behaviors on animals. They're teaching us how to be expansive. And with these tools that you learn in the Let Animals Lead method, you're learning how to use that. And luckily, if you study with Nicholas, you learn a lot of how we teach is a lot of how he teaches. Now, he teaches you how to use this with humans, but he also teaches you in the Let Animals Lead, where we're using a lot of this for ourselves. So Eileen Anderson said, how do you use Let Animals Lead when you have two male cats that fight? Well, I don't know if you've taken a class yet, Eileen. So one thing that you have to know is that Reiki, no matter if it's human Reiki, let animals lead, isn't going to solve all problems, right? Again, we have to go back to free will. Cats have free will. These two male cats have free will. But what you might want to do is just meditate, get a guided meditation.
What we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We've tried medication, didn't work. We have a gate between, in two areas of our house. We have one in one side, one on the other. And we switch them, different sizes. We've tried Prozac. That didn't work, so we stopped it. But they are like at each other, and this has been 2 years. They're two male cats.
So there's a lot that could be going on, and I'm not a cat behaviorist, and I would really encourage you to talk to a cat behaviorist. But also, we have to remember our energy causes a lot of what's going on in the house, right? We're worried, we're upset, we're fearful. We know, oh God, here they come. And so what happens? The energy goes, gunk, and they feel that. So the best thing we can do, this is what I was saying, is like listen to a guided meditation. Just say, I would love if you would join me in this meditation I'm going to listen to. And if not, no worries, do whatever you like. But you then get in that beautiful calm space and then see what happens. See how
Can I,
you react. Yeah, please.
Wait,
I
I've
say
tried
something
doing,
about that? Oh.
Oh,
yes, yes,
yeah,
please.
go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, it might not work for you, and I don't know if you did the Let Animals Lead method of Reiki yet,
No,
but
no, I
oh
do build, humans.
oh yeah, okay, well, but
I've done animals, but
something that what Leah uh, taught in her Animal Reiki for Reiki practitioners, and what helped me with our foster fail and one of our cats, the old gang, who were at each other's throats all the time, was the healing bridge meditation.
the healing bridge,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and don't force them to, so it's where you basically visual. Well, you can probably explain what it is, but don't force the animals to take part in it, but just invite them that if they wish to join me on this healing bridge, they're very welcome to do so. And it was amazing. I mean, I'm not saying that it will work for your
Right.
two guys, but that tremendously helped here.
Okay, well,
So
that's helpful because they're both sweet cats, but I think they're territorial, and that's big problem. One was with us for 2 years before we emergently took the other cat in because that cat needed a home.
Well,
We have a female too who was with the first cat, and she's okay with them.
well, what I think that Claudia, that was a really good suggestion. So the healing bridge is what you learn in Let Animals Lead. So in lieu of the healing bridge, what you want to do is find a meditation that helps you feel relaxed. A guided meditation is best because it'll keep you focused. And before you start, you say, I would love for you two to join me in my meditation if you'd like, but if not, no worries. And then you just forget about them and you go and you do your meditation. Because what happens is once you start to feel calm, once you start to feel relaxed, your energy starts to go out, right? So it's a very inward practice. You're calm. Now you're breathing more slowly. The animals are connecting to that. And now if the cats decide, oh yeah, I do want to join you, I'm going to lay here next to you, I'm going to fall asleep, you can almost feel just a little bit. I mean, you'll get more and more sensitive. The more you do this, more sensitive you'll get into, oh yeah, I can feel. Like, so when I talked about Ngozi, the crocodile, right?
Oh yeah, oh God.
Yeah. And so when you're sitting with him, you really feel that grounded energy. You kind of feel yourself sink a little bit when you're sensitive to it because he's so grounded. So what I encourage you to do is find a meditation that makes you feel really relaxed and can help you just let go and then do it. You need to do it at least 4 days in a row, I would say, because if you really want to see something happen, just do it. And you don't have to do it like you could say it at night if you're going to bed, or in the morning. They don't have to be right next to you. Just call them into your mind and just say, I'm going to do a meditation. I would love for you to join me, because they don't have to be in your presence. We
Right,
think
because I can't have
energy.
them together. They'll
Yeah, and
just
that's fine. And that's totally fine. You can be in one room, they can be separate rooms, because we think our energy is right here, but really our energy is super expansive. So when you're meditating, your energy is going out and then they're feeling it. And I love it because when we're at care, the property's huge and we're over in one corner, yet you can feel the energy start to expand. And it's not just our energy, right? The animals, when they start to connect, it just goes boom, 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 like, lighting candles,
right.
just one after the other, or dominoes. It's just boom, 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 boom. So for you, when you start meditating, and if the cats join you, or maybe only one cat joins you at first, and then maybe they both do, but it's really about you letting go too, letting go of the thought that, oh my gosh, you don't get along, just start saying, I'm so glad that you love each other. Start giving them
Yep.
positive affirmations too, and see if that helps, because our words have energy and we don't
Right.
really remember that. We want to be like, oh, this is a bad situation. Well, those cats, they're picking up on that. And it's just like, Dr. Inamoto with the water, speaking into water, which I always speak into my water, and I drink it. And I know that it helps me with my mood. But also they did the children's experience where they put 2 jars of rice in the opening of the classroom. And to 1 jar of rice, they said really nice, loving things. And to 1 jar of rice, they said mean things. And within a week, the jar who got the negative talk was black, but the jar that got positive talk was still white and pure. So we have to remember
right.
that we really have the ability to affect the energy around us. So, starting with telling the cats that you love them, and that you're so happy they get along, and just see what happens with that too. But I really highly recommend you meditate, Elaine, and do find a guided one, because it's much easier than on your own, because on your own you'll get distracted. And so I want to look at Darlene's comment. I always invite the animals, saying, I invite you in their name to receive and accept this Reiki. May you take in whatever you need or nothing at all. I love that, Darlene. Thank you.
That is very good.
So powerful. That is so powerful. You might want to copy that, because that's a really great script to use. I invite you, and the kitties' names, to receive and accept this Reiki. May you take in whatever you need or nothing at all. So there is literally no pressure. And thank you again,
Right.
Darlene. That was, yes. So going back to the symbols and mantras, and let animals lead, they're for you. These are tools for you, right? They're not tools for you to use on animals. And that's the biggest difference when we're working with animals as opposed to when working with people. And again, another way that it's different in human Reiki and animal Reiki, and this is not about the symbols, it's just, remember, in animal Reiki, we allow the animals to come in and out, to move freely, right? But in a human Reiki session, the practitioner is going to be moving around, right? And doing different things, and you're going to be still. A very different experience. But always remember, human Reiki is for humans, and animal Reiki is for animals. And it's very hard to switch it off. So if I would have taken Western Reiki, I know it would have taken me forever, because I just would have thought, I just know this works. I know better, and it's a very human thing. And it took Kathleen, God, 7 years to finally realize, right? Thousands of animals, 7 years, hundreds of hours, or thousands of hours, hundreds of animals. That, oh, wait, they don't like this. So then she had a gift, and that's when she started studying with Franz Dine. And that's when everything shifted, because he was teaching the more traditional
Japanese,
right, that Asui probably taught, which was meditation based. And he didn't do hand symbols and all these different things, right? So when we're looking at animal Reiki, we have to remember, let's go back to the roots of Reiki, which isn't hands-on, which isn't directing energy. It's about creating that energy within yourself and then expanding that energy out, and not in a forceful, I'm going to beam this towards you way, just in a very loving and passive way. And then seeing what happens and how the animals respond. And, and just Lauren was just on the call just a couple of weeks ago talking about how powerful that is. These horses were not open to people. And yet she comes on and they're completely open to her. And you saw how they were nuzzling her and coming up to her and connecting with her, because she wasn't trying to push her energy on there. So just remember, when you are grounded, right? When we use Choku to ground, when we're open, when we use Seiheki to open, expand our minds, when we're present, and when our heart and our mind begin to merge, that's Kokoro. And that is what the animals feel, because guess what? That is more true to what they are. So even a stressed out dog or cat, bunny, whoever in the shelter, a horse, they're stressed out, but they're not that far from their peaceful self. So when we come in and we are peace and we are love and light, they go, oh, that's right. That's right. That's me. But for us, we're like, oh my God, okay, I've got to do the precepts. I got to do Choku Reiki. I got to do this. Okay, now I can be at peace for about 5 minutes. Okay, yeah. Oh God, my mind's wandering. You know what I mean? We need these tools, but they don't. So when we really get grounded and open, then guess what? The connection comes naturally. When you're grounded, you're open and expansive, boom, that connection is there. Because now your heart is so easily accessible, right? Your mind drops into your heart. And because you're tethered, you're grounded, now you can just spread that love and not take anything else on and not worry, oh my gosh, is this working? Or, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Because in that present moment, all is well, right? So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Claudia.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your, help. I like it.
And thank you, Elaine, for your questions, and for Dee, and for Elaine Santiago for your comments, and for Darlene, thank you so much. Adriana, I'm not sure if I said thank you. Thank you for all the comments. And again, Claudia, thank you so much. And Dee, thank you so much. And I want to make sure I got everyone. And Kathy F, thank you. You always start the chat, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because it helps encourage others to do that. But I just want to encourage all of you, if you want, and I will paste it one more time. I think I can still paste, to join Nicholas's class. He still has one more live class. He is going to be doing questions and answer at the beginning and at the end of this Sunday's class. So if you're joining late and you want to listen to the recording before you join on Sunday and you have questions, he said he's happy to answer those. And then we're going to do the actual class, and then he'll have Q&A at the end. And one thing I will say about Nicholas, I don't know how much time he has, but he always buffers in extra time for a little longer Q&A. So I encourage you, if you are interested and you're thinking about it, please join us. There's still time. We are not going to be selling this later. We were thinking we were going to, and we're not, because it just never goes well. So if you want to join us, do. So time is the class on Sunday? It's 10 a.m. Pacific to 12 p.m. Pacific. Thank you, Sandy, for asking that question. That was a really great question. I did not put that in there. You're welcome, Chris. Thank you so much for, you're welcome, Anne. Yes, it is an important topic. So thank you so much. And thank you,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. Thank you so much, everyone. So next week, I can't even remember what I'm going to talk about, but I know it's going to be good. Oh, and it's your first time. Kimberly, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you found it helpful. Look at the replays. We do try to give a lot of different information, not just about Reiki, but about other subjects. I have Scarlett Raven coming back to talk to us about different ways to heal our bodies naturally. I have Gail Pope and her new partner coming in to talk about Reiki and hospice with a little bit of a different spin. We're going to have Dawn Rorbel come back and talk to us about flower essences. You're welcome, Sabina. Thank you. And Patricia, thank you. And so, and I think Nicholas is going to come and talk about crystals for protection. So, I say, in Reiki, you don't have to protect, but Nicholas has a really great psychic class. He did his book. It's based on his new book, and I will give away books too. So thank you so much, Sandy. It was lovely being with all of you too. And Elaine, Sarah Bowen, you know what? It's so funny, Elaine, that you should say that. I was just, Reverend Sarah Bowen is an animal chaplain. She may even be an animal doula. And I was just thinking today, Elaine, I've got to reach out to her and get her to come and talk to all of us. She's really interesting. She's a lovely woman. And so, yeah, we will be working on that. And you're welcome, Mary Ellen. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you, Sharon. I just want to make sure, Sandy, thank you so much. And Patricia, thank you. Yeah, it's been, oh, and Elaine, happy birthday on Sunday. And yeah, no worries. It's a recording, so you'll get everything out of it. And then also Nicholas is always available for questions too. So that's what I love about Nicholas. He's so generous. So thank you all so much. Kimberly, welcome. And I hope you return, and I will see you all next week. Have a beautiful week.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your help.
Oh, of course. Bye, Elaine. Bye.
Wait, I wanted to follow up. Do you remember when we were doing class?
Yeah.
I can't think of her name right now, but she was going to have a Zoom protest against the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. And
that was Jessica.
Jessica. Okay. Did you hear any more about that?
No, I didn't.
All right.
And I know. Is the Kentucky Derby on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, it's always the first Saturday.
Oh, I
Like
didn't know that. Oh, yeah.
it's always
Well,
the first Saturday
let's
of May.
let's not send worry to those horses. Let's all send love
Yes.
and love to those horses
Right.
so that we protect them, so that nobody gets hurt, because they have to do what they have to do, whether we like it or not. So we always want to make sure we're surrounding them with love and support. And thank you so much for reminding me of that, because I will be doing a special dedication to them, because we don't want any horses to get hurt or die because of
Right.
greed and narrow-mindedness of some humans, and that's okay. But yes, we have the power to help heal this, you guys. So thank you all so much. Mwah. Thank you again, Claudia. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.